Hey guys, it's been a minute. It's been the most wonderfully busy summer. If you don't notice, I'm not in my car tonight, um, just mostly because when I'm going in and out of the nuclear plant, I don't want to have my phone on just for security reasons. So this is my alternative solution. I'm in my apartment not too far from where I'm working, and um, it's been a really awesome summer. I have learned what it means to be an engineer, what nuclear safety culture is, what it means to work in a nuclear power plant, and also just kind of like getting to see the ins and outs of all of these different systems and applying the basic thermodynamics and fluids and heat and mass transfer that I've learned in class. So getting to see that has been really fascinating. I've also been very busy applying for grad school. Applications haven't opened yet, but normally when you start applying for grad school, there are a few things that you do the summer before, just so when you start applying in the fall, one, things aren't as overwhelming, two, you're ahead of the curve, and three, hopefully you've made some connections with professors and faculty to start gaining a better idea of like, oh, maybe this is where I want to be, this would be a good fit for me. So I started doing that. This past month or so, I've been reaching out to faculty saying, hey, my name's Grace. I'm an honors chemical engineering student at the University of Arkansas. This is why I think your lab is so cool. And you gotta be specific. You gotta say, you gotta talk about publications or experiences you've had with their research or the reason that you realized like who they were and what they were doing and why it was so cool. And you send these like concise emails and then hopefully you get a few responses. You know, these folks are busy and they have a lot on their plates during the summer. They're often catching up on research, family time, other interests, hobbies, traveling. So it's really important to be mindful of the fact that, you know, you may not get answers from all faculty you email, or it may take like a follow-up email. So I've been doing that. I've been working on consolidating my lab list of the places that I'm like, oh, it'd be really cool to do research here. And then this aligns with my future goals and interests. So I've been working on that list and it's pretty solid so far. I'm working on finalizing it right now, making sure I have like all of the nitty-gritty details, I'm not missing anything. We've got a pretty solid list. I think it's about 13 schools. Working on narrowing down to 10. So we'll see where I end up after that. But I've been working on that list and I've had a lot of time to reflect on like who I am and why I want to be a researcher and like all of those things that come with like who am I as a PhD student and a PhD applicant, and how can I make myself a better researcher. So that's exciting. I've also been doing a lot of literature review. I'll be starting in a new lab in the fall, working in the Sustainable Catalysis Laboratory. Projects are still in the works. We're working on getting funding for a few things. So don't have exactly what I'm doing yet, but I'm excited to share that when I do. Other than that, I've been really diving deep into my hobbies. I'm working on learning the guitar. I'm not very good at it. I started a Depop shop, trying to give some of the clothes I don't wear every day a second life. I have been cooking a lot, baking, and then just spending time with the people I love and enjoy. So working in a nuclear power plant, we do 4 10s, so working 4 10-hour shifts a week, and then we have 3 days off, and then we go back during the days in the week as engineers. And so it's given me a lot of time to travel, to visit family, to visit my boyfriend that's not too far from here, and really kind of take some time to just relax and chill and spend time with the people I love before senior year starts. Some of my favorite things I've done so far, my little sister came up for a musical in early June, and we went and stayed in Kansas City, and we got to hang out and spend time together, go to museums. There was a tornado while we were at the musical, and it was an outdoor venue. So we're like, they were amazing. They handled it so well, but we're like in this bathroom with all these people, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the first time my parents are letting me take my sibling anywhere. And this is what's happening. But we had a great time, and we got to have even better seats after that because they let us move forward. but I've been doing a lot of that. It's hard to have a routine with a 10-hour a day work week, just because I get home and I eat. I normally have a meeting. We've been getting ready for AICHE and Wesley for the year. So I normally have some sort of meeting, some sort of task I need to do for that. I've been going to the gym. I live very close to our rec center, so I've been running there, doing my workout, and then normally walking back. I attempt to run, but after leg day, that just don't happen. So I've been taking time to take care of myself physically and spiritually and all of those good things. But then I do that, and then I work on grad school, and then it's time for bed. My bedtime is literally in 30 minutes, running a little bit behind tonight. But just like getting used to that and used to like, oh, I don't have that much free time at night. How do I spend it? How do I make use of it? How do I make it valuable has been such a learning curve. But I'm almost there. I think I have 3 or 4 weeks left of my internship. So right now I'm working on my intern presentation, kind of getting a better idea of like, what did I actually do this summer? What have I learned? How has it impacted the company? So doing that, putting together some fun pictures, and then also just like, getting to share the things I'm passionate about. So that's been fun. I was listening I went home last weekend. I moved out of my apartment in Fayetteville because we're moving somewhere else. And I went home after that. And on my way back to Burlington, I sat and was thinking, what can I do to make good use of my 6.5-hour drive? I was like, oh my gosh, I can listen to a podcast about catalysis, because why not? So I was listening to this podcast, and Professor Stites at Northwestern, she's a professor in the Department of Biological and Chemical Engineering, and she's doing a lot of really cool catalysis research focused on energy and environment, and is really passionate about just how can we make the world a better place. And so I was listening to her episode, and she had this really cool perspective on grad school and postdocs and all of those things. It's this podcast called The Podcat, and I would definitely recommend listening to it if this is one of your research interests or you're just wanting to learn a little bit more about catalysis and career development. And she was talking about how one of her mentors during her PhD was talking to her about what do you do after your PhD, And he was like, well, since you're thinking about a postdoc, you one of two ways. You can either go and do something that's very closely related to what you're doing, what's in your niche, or you can do something that's broader that's going to contribute to your ability to do that research. And she described it as a vector. Your undergrad research, your PhD is a vector, and it's a distinct vector. Especially your PhD, you're spending 5 to 6 years becoming an expert on a topic. And she's like, this is your vector. And you either have the option of, in that vector, doing something that's narrow, keeping your options narrow, and you'll start out doing something, and it'll feel a little bit easier because you're already an expert in a very closely related field, but it can be easy to get stuck and to feel burnt out on a subject. But if you widen your vector, maybe a little bit wider than that, and you say, how can I develop a skill that will help me in that research? So maybe you're doing a postdoc in a physics lab and you're learning an analytical technique, or a chemistry lab and you're learning fundamentals about different kinds of reactions that you're trying to optimize as a chemical engineer. And you take that, you have a whole lot more room to work with. And that was really helpful. She talked about being open to change and trying different kinds of research, and how it's okay to not have a very direct path, but to have multiple direct paths that are aligning with each other. And I just thought that was so neat, because I've not struggled, because I love the research that I'm doing and getting to do and want to continue to do that, but struggled with do I want to do something that's niche enough? Is my research going to be easy for people to identify, easy to help me get into grad school? And her perspective on that really gave me like a little bit of relief, like, oh wait, maybe it's okay. So I wanted to share that tidbit with y'all. I also wanted to share the fact that I apologize for my rather greasy looking hair. I spent all morning in the plant, like with water breaks. We were very, very safe. I spent about 5 hours in our power block this morning, and it was about 80 degrees outside, which means it's quite a bit hotter inside. Just there's a lot of components going around, and I was doing some engineering tasks, but I spent a lot of time out there, and y'all, I just like poured buckets of sweat, which is what you're supposed to do, and I've been hydrating, but that's why she's a little greasy. With that, y'all, don't forget to be kind, to be smart, to be generous, to be kind, extra kind, and sparkle. Y'all have a good one.